Welcome back to the show. A few minutes left here with Chris Gibb of Gibb Insurance Brokers. Now, Chris, let's start talking. Let's keep a bit on the claims topic. So, when a claim is made, we've talked about a restoration company comes out. The insurance company often recommends which restoration company to use.
Yes.
Do you have to use that restoration company?
No, you can, as a consumer, you can use whoever you want to do the work.
Okay.
As long as that person or that business will do it for the same price as the insurance company's estimate.
Okay.
So if it's a $10,000 repair job, as long as your guy does it,
$20,000.
Exactly. They're not going to pay more. I mean, if you do it yourself, they will knock around 25% off, simply because if you're doing it yourself, you're not paying for compensation. You're not paying, you don't have all the business expenses that a regular contractor would have. And I will say sometimes it is better to find your own person to do those repairs, especially when you have a bunch of claims in an area, you know, and when we had our latest one, or our really bad one about 5 years ago in Amherstburg, 500 homes flooded.
Yeah.
So your disaster companies, there's only so many guys out there, even though they bring people down from Toronto and London to help out. So sometimes you can be waiting a while to get your home back in shape, simply because there's only so many drywallers, there's only so many flooring guys. So if you have your own person, sometimes it can be more expedient just to bring them in.
So at that point, and we ended up doing that ourselves, so we get the quotes from the insurance company, the restoration companies.
Yep.
And at that point, they made us an offer. We'll pay you off. Here you go. Here's the number if you want us to go away and
That's
be
it.
done with.
That's it.
I'll write you a check for this amount.
That's right.
Does that work a specific way, or is it just literally that?
Generally, if you're going to hire a contractor, a licensed, a business person to do the work for you, that's what they do. You know, the insurance company will say, our contractor says it's going to be $12,000. Does your guy agree to do it for that much? Yes. Okay. They'll write a check in the name of Dan Gemis and Joe Smith Contracting. They issue you the check, and you get Joe Smith to do the work.
What happens if throughout the process you don't agree with the quotes coming back, or the work that's being suggested, or you don't agree with something? Is there a process that you can kind of?
Well, generally, most insurance companies are pretty open to work with you.
Okay.
Maybe some people are lying in bed right now listening to this and saying, no, that's not true. It is. They're generally they're willing to work with you. Again, these disaster companies, they've done this thousands of times, and they know that, if you have 6 inches of water in your basement, well, they don't have to replace all the drywall. They cut up 24 inches.
Yep.
They come in with dehumidifiers and fans, and they dry it. So they're generally very fair, and most of the time, the cost for your own contractor is well within line with what the disaster companies are charging the insurance companies.
On our policies, we often see a line about personal liability. Can you tell us about that? How does that work?
Okay. That's a very good question, Dan. Your liability insurance on your home insurance policy, basically the wording is generally your liability covers your personal actions anywhere in the world. So when you have liability on your home insurance, it covers not only the property. So if a kid gets bit by your dog, a friend falls off the porch, somebody falls down the stairs at a party, they can sue you. That's your premises liability. But one thing most people don't realize is you also have your personal liability. And I had a situation years ago where a client bumped into someone in the mall, knocked them down, and when the fellow fell, he broke his wrist.
Wow.
And this fellow was a plumber.
Ooh.
So he was out of work for, I think, 6 or 8 weeks, and my client's liability coverage from their home insurance policy
took care of it.
Took care of that cost. So it's a very complex product, and generally most people get the $1 million liability. Most companies will charge you $10, $20 to go with $2 million, which is
I had no idea that's how that worked.
That's how it
pretty
works.
Cool.
It's pretty comprehensive.
I've got about 40 more questions, and we're out of time. So We're going to have to get you back in the studio. It's
Well, you know, why not? I've got a face for radio, so I'll come back anytime.
That's what I've always said, and look where I ended up. Billboards all over the place. It kills me. Drive by all the time. Okay, so listen, thank you again. I appreciate everybody listening. And Chris, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how do they do so?
The best way is call the office, 736-8228. We're out in beautiful Amherstburg, but
You service everything.
We service the province of Ontario. These days with internet and email, you can get this stuff taken care of. And if you're someone who wants to sit and do things face to face, that's what we're there for.
Chris is great for that, and I can vouch what you're hearing on the radio today. That is the true Chris, and he's awesome to sit down with and get to know. So I look forward to working with you for many, many years to come, Chris.
Well, thank you very much, Dan. As long as you don't get me up at 7 o'clock on a Sunday morning too often.
No promises.
All right.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next Sunday.